phone ring and you wanna attack. Well, sit on down and tell me what up with that. Ooh-wee. What up with that? What up with that? Ooh-wee. What up with that? What up with that? He said, she said, we said, he said, what up with that?
And welcome to another edition of What's Up With That. Of course, my name is Drew Garino, here to bring you the action from the week that was in Week 11. First and foremost, happy Thanksgiving to the League of Legends and to your families. Now let's get into the action as we saw it last week. And making his meteoric rise to first place is one, Sean Doolin, who made it to first place by pummeling Steve DeFerrari to the tune of 81 fantasy points. Now, Sean is simply firing on all cylinders and appears to have that number one seed, Akon, locked up. Slipping down into second place is Bill DeFerrari based on his point total. He dropped a 5-point loss to last place, Ryan. It certainly didn't help Bill that A.J. Green went down with a tough injury during the Bengals' opening drive on Sunday, as he surely would have been able to take down Ryan had he had his services. But to make matters worse, Steven Gostkowski missed another point after attempt. Laces out Steven. Slipping into third place is Cam, who was able to get back into the win column and solidify himself in the playoff picture by taking down Drew this week. And it was the UMass product in recent waiver pickup, Tajay Sharp, who, as what the kids say, was on point with nearly 17 fantasy points. Looking good right now for Cam as he tries to make his second straight playoff appearance. Slipping down into fourth place, and someone who has not made the playoffs in a very long time, is Steve DeFerrari, who dropped that 81-point loss against Sean this week. Now, Steve was already without the services of one Robert Gronkowski, so he elected to go with Kyle Rudolph at the tight end position. But what I think Steve forgot to realize was that you actually have to have Thanksgiving before you can get to Christmas. Hashtag Christmas puns. And speaking of Mr. Pun, Adam continued his hot play of late by picking up his third straight victory, taking down Dennis this week. It could be the dancing, or it could be the Dallas Cowboys. Because as the tag team of Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott continue to light up the fantasy scoreboard, they combined for 42 fantasy points this week. Staying in sixth place and holding on barely to that last playoff spot is Drew's team. Now let's go live to Drew as he talks about his team. That pretty much sums it up, as Drew was hampered with several buys in Week 11 and made arguably the worst decision of the week, dropping Pierre Garçon to pick up Eddie Royal Blue and his measly 3.3 fantasy points. What's up with that? Speaking of what's up with that, staying in seventh place this week is Dennis, who clearly bought a season pass to Six Flags New England because his roller coaster ride is heading down again. Dennis is really struggling to find consistent scoring at the running back position, and it was killer this week because they combined for only 17 fantasy points. He'll need to start getting some higher point totals if he wants to climb back into the playoff picture. Now, in the closest contest of the week, Dave fell to Bud in Week 11 by a measly 1 yard. Now, Dave actually had a pretty decent week, but I'm sure he was expecting more out of Delaney Walker, who followed up a 27-point fantasy performance in Week 10 with a mere 7.6 in Week 11. In the aforementioned 1 yard game, Bud was able to win that game and stay ahead of Ryan in the race for the coveted pink shirt. And now, for Bud, after all that negative talk about Ted Ginn early in the season, it's actually nice to see the man contribute for Bud as he scored a key touchdown in the Thursday night game. But Bud really must be a Trump supporter if he keeps going back to his old Ginn. Get it? And staying in last place is Ryan, but Ryan pulled off the biggest upset of the week, taking down top-seeded Bill by 5 fantasy points. That makes 2 in a row for the kid who clearly doesn't want to wear that triple XL pink shirt. Great to see the kids battling, and he made the biggest acquisition of the week, picking up Rob Kelly and his 31 fantasy points. It's now a battle between son and dad who will get that coveted pink shirt, but it should make for some pretty good table talk on Thanksgiving. Hey, have a great one. We'll see you next week.